Justice Abad.
I think we can sympathize with the mothers who suffer and who suffer because of poverty. I think that's something that nobody really will be happy about. But let me ask you. You say that 5,000 women have maternal death yearly.
Well,
About 5,000.
Your Honor, that is based on the average of 15 a day.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
times 360 days. It's about 5,400, I believe.
Well, is pregnancy a disease?
Your Honor, as I mentioned...
Please answer the question. Is pregnancy a disease?
I am answering, Your Honor. As I said in my speech, it is not a disease, but it is a special condition that requires medical attention.
Yeah. Well, because I have here the maternal mortality main cause in the Philippines for 2009. And the cause of death is not directly about because of pregnancy, because as you said, pregnancy is a disease, but it can bring about some problems. Complications related to pregnancy occurring in the course of labor, delivery, and puerperium. That's the number one cause, 655 deaths out of 1,599. Then, second, hypertension, complicating pregnancy, childbirth, and puerperium, 513. Postpartum hemorrhage, 286. These are all difficulties that our parents, our mothers, or all mothers have to face when they are pregnant. And these are illnesses, these are complications that could be attended to, and the lives could have been saved if these poor women had places to go, where they can be attended by competent doctors, with proper facilities, with blood. I think that's many of them die because there's no blood available or there are no doctors available. So, but your solution is to solve this problem of deaths of 5,000 a year. We will put on IUD or hormonal contraceptives about 23 million Filipinos, or childbearing mothers. And according to the World Health Organization, hormonal contraceptives, the one of them, has the highest possibility for cancer. Class 1, no? The highest possibility. Before they said it was merely possible. But based on the finding of the WHO, it is already a reality that it can cause cancer. I can see the suffering there, but I've seen my sister-in-law and my own wife, my first wife, died of cancer. You can see the horror of cancer. And these women are poor. They'll be defenseless against this kind of disease. This is your answer for 5,000 deaths in the Philippines. I do not see how you can balance that the risk to which we will put our people as against 5,000 that could have been saved by proper hospital facilities.
I would be happy to answer, Your Honor.
Please.
First of all, the reproductive health law does not address maternal health alone. As I mentioned in my speech on the other concerns, there are issues like teen pregnancy, there are issues like sexually transmitted infections, there are other reproductive health related issues such as cervical cancer. All of these things will be addressed by the reproductive health law. So although it is true that you often hear of mothers dying as a primary concern of the reproductive health law, that is not the only concern. Having said that, the solution, as His Honor had mentioned, which is to provide IUDs to 23 million women, is absolutely false, with all due respect. The solution the solution is quite broad. One is to provide reproductive health education. This is through age-appropriate education through the youth, and we go up to the women as it is necessary, and the couples. And then there is access to services, as
Those
His Honor
solutions are not
mentioned.
objectionable. We are
Yes,
not objecting to them.
I will continue to to explain, and His Honor can tell me which is objectionable. As His Honor mentioned, the access to services would include the access to health professionals like doctors, and there doesn't seem to be any issue there. But what the issue is, Your Honor, as the example I gave of one of the women who died, she did have access to a doctor who told her that it would be very risky for her to become pregnant again because of her hypertension. Many women are similarly situated either because of pre-existing medical conditions or just for personal reasons. They are not mentally prepared to have another child. They want to further their education, to uplift their families from poverty, and do not want to have another child. That is where the access to reproductive health products come in. That is where the ability of a family to plan for what is best for their family comes in. A doctor cannot come in and say, mag-condom ka, mag-IUD ka, magpaligate ka. No, that is a decision that only a family, a couple, have to make for their own. So no services can take the place of the need and the access to contraceptives when a family needs to plan for various health reasons or other reasons they may have. Now, to further answer His Honor's concerns, His Honor said that, on giving away IUDs and contraceptives, that is absolutely false. What will be available are a wide range, and that is very clear in the law. In fact, the law says public health facilities must provide a wide range of reproductive health products so that people can choose. That is the objective. And so definitely there is not one type that will be picked. And over again, we accepted the amendments of those against the reproductive health law. We kept on inserting access to family planning. Paulit-ulit po. In fact, if you ask me, the law is not perfectly written because it is interjected so many times with provisions that have already been stated. But to accommodate the concerns of everyone, we allowed it. Now, on the issue that contraceptives have been classified as the highest potential of causing cancer, Your Honor, the Class 1 classification is actually the lowest. The classification of the contraceptive as possibly cancer-causing is put in the same level as microwaves, television sets, and cell phones, Your Honor. So that is the classification. And it is not a final judgment. It is just saying that these are products that may have the potential, just to put things in perspective. And as to the risk of oral contraceptives, let me say that the risk of using hormonal contraceptives is much lower than the risk of dying from childbirth. That is a scientific fact.
Well, okay, I go to another point. Although that's your... Well, you mentioned teenage pregnancy is one of the things that this
Yes,
thing
Your
is
Honor.
going to solve. Because if there had been...
Address, Your Honor, not solve.
If there had been... If teenagers had known that they can use contraceptives, possibly this wouldn't have happened or things like that.
Well, Your Honor, that would be like saying we shouldn't have a seatbelt law, because with a seatbelt law, it is like telling everybody, drive fast. It is like saying, do not provide for life vest, because it is like telling everybody, jump into the water and drown yourself because you have a life
What I'm
vest.
concerned with the payback for that, I see. The payback for that is what we see in the Western world. Well, teenagers, or from the grade of 10, in Germany, from that grade, I think even the age of 5, they are already taught these things. And eventually, that is the solution to, you can have sex and not be pregnant. You tell our teenagers,
There is nothing in the law, Your Honor, and we have consulted with the
Well,
Department
but you mentioned that this is a solution.
No, what did I mention, Your Honor?
No, you said that we need this law to save teenager from, who have a future from
Teen pregnancy.
pregnancy,
Yes,
so
Your
they
Honor.
can have sex without
That is
pregnancy.
that is the statement which I take exception to, Your Honor. We never said in this law, and if you look into the records, and if you look
Well,
at
how
any...
will this resolve teenage pregnancy if there can be sex with pregnancy? I think that's your purpose. The teenagers should have sex
As
Those
we
in
speak,
schools should have sex without getting pregnant.
As we speak, Your Honor, without the reproductive health law, 200,000 recorded teen pregnancies in the last year. And every year it is the same. And it is increasing in this country because we consider it taboo to talk about sex. So it is not the presence of reproductive health education that has promoted teen pregnancy. It is actually the absence.
Teenagers don't know that they'll get pregnant if they have sex.
It depends on who the
I don't
teenager.
know.
It depends on who the teenager is. My teenagers know, Your Honor, because I am very.
Know that if they have sex, they will get pregnant. But what we're going to tell them, you have sex, but don't get pregnant by using these contraceptives.
I do not believe that any responsible Filipino counselor or doctor would make those kind of statements. Your Honor is correct that maybe in some other countries that is how they would put it based on their customs. You want to have sex, do this. In the Philippines, I don't believe it would be ever couched in that way because our customs dictate that we will always veer in the side of abstinence, in the side of prevention, in delayed sex, and the surveys show that as we speak, without reproductive health law, sex is happening all over our country. And they get their information.
But
it is what I'm saying, Your Honor, and it is based on evidence.
Let me read from, about even 10 years old, it's already obsolete. Maybe there will be improved educational materials, but this is the materials that they are going to, from my reading, from what they are using. Is too much sex physically harmful? That will be taught in school. No, because there's no such thing as too much sex. Generally speaking, under normal circumstances, sexual intercourse and masturbation are self-limiting. When one has had enough, this level varies from person to person. One will stop. Okay. So, as he believed by many, however, a virgin woman simply means that her vagina has never been penetrated by the penis of a man. Virginity to many is determined by the hymen being intact, as evidenced by slight bleeding during the first sexual intercourse. Thus, if the woman does not bleed the first time her vagina is penetrated by the penis, what follows is the man's allegation that she is no longer a virgin. And there are many others here. No? So, the lesson really is to say to these kids that there's nothing wrong about sex, provided that you don't get pregnant. And I don't think that is those are the values we want to place in the hearts of our children.
Well, I agree with His Honor. I do not believe that those statements are age appropriate for different ages. Definitely, I will talk about virginity with a 17-year-old. I will not talk about virginity with a 7-year-old. So what is vital in the law?
But the problem is you're not the one to make this. And if you enroll in a public school, that's what the law says. If you enroll in the public school, even if you're Catholic, you have to attend this class. It's only in private school that it is not compulsory.
Your Honor, I would be very happy to share with this court a situation which is actually what moved me to insist on age-appropriate reproductive health education. I became aware that one of the problems we have, because we have many women who are OFWs, are fathers who are left behind with their children, and we now have a term that is officially recognized. It is called substitute spouse, where the oldest daughter does not only take over the role of the mother as a caregiver of her younger siblings, but also takes over the role of the mother as the spouse.
Well,
and this, Your Honor, if I may just continue, this is what reminded me that it is so important that we teach our young children that they have a right to protect their own bodies. That just because it is a father, an uncle, or somebody who lives in your own home, they cannot touch you. They cannot touch your private parts. And if you look carefully at Section 14 of the law, we make it very clear that these are the kinds of educational materials we want our children to have access to so they can protect themselves.
I think the petitioners don't quarrel with you. I myself, I think we should have children should learn in early age about these things. in the old times, the idea was don't talk about it. But I think what we need to train are the parents to be able to teach their children these things, but in the atmosphere of a home.
That is true, Your Honor, but what about the
Yes, but
instance
this
where I
one, no.
mentioned, where
This
the
one-
woman, and we have 10 million Filipinos who live
No,
abroad,
if you enroll your children in a public school, you cannot absent yourself from this class. And who is going to teach this? Who is going to teach
it will be taught, Your Honor.
outside. I thought it's a family decision, no? But you'll bring in information that may not be within the values of that family. And compelling, actually.
Well-
compelling the members of that family to attend this lecture, not under parental guidance, but for strangers. Strangers to teach my children and my grandchildren the matter of sex. Sex without love. Huh? Sex without the values that our families keep.
with all due respect, Your Honor, that is a very limiting view of the law. That is not the intention. Every well-meaning Filipino will want to teach children reproductive health.
The materials being used in school.
Your Honor, those are
That's
not
it.
the accredited materials of the Department of Health. We must trust that our government agencies will be performing their duties in accordance with the law. We cannot assume that Congress is malicious or that the Department of Education is malicious. As we speak, a priest is the head of the Department of Education,
We
Your
trust
Honor.
them that pill that I read the other time that says it works as an abortive agent. Sabi na nakalagay doon. This can cause prevention of implantation of the fertilizer. The FDA allows that. Ano? If we believe everything that all of these things,
We go
well,
by
we will have a
scientific
problem.
evidence, Your
We trust
Honor.
that the government will do what is right. That's correct. But at the same time, because of the dangerous nature of this law, in a way, then we should have the things we are looking for that will protect also our children. We want our children to know to have sex education. But I think we should train parents to teach children how to do it. And then do it in the company, in the loving company of parents sharing the values that sex is good. Sex makes you happy. Sex is the beginning of another family if you want to have a family. But not sex for sex sake. Ano?
I don't
Parang
think-
sabi nila sa akin, dyan daw sa sex mate ang tawag niya. You can have a sex mate. Kasi nga, sex is cheap. When we do all these things, sex becomes cheap. We want this thing, but we have to pay for it in a grievous way. That's what I understand.
Well, I would like to put on record, Your Honor, that Congress agrees with His Honor that we do not want our our children to be fed values that are not consistent with our own. And that is the intention of the reproductive health law, that these are trained individuals who will be teaching our children and who are conscious of Filipino values and traditions.
I read from your comment. I think you read your comment.
Of course, Your Honor.
It was, although you say it's
I
not
did not
part of your
prepare it,
speech.
Your Honor, but
It's not
I did
part
read
of
it.
speech. You say, I'll ask you about something that is not part of your talk. But here, it's from your comment. You said that the RH law is consistent with the right to privacy, sometimes called the right to be let alone. I think Attorney Roque there, I don't know if he left already, knows very well about it. Since the law gives people, especially women, access to information they need. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the opportunity, it gives the women the opportunity to decide by themselves the number and spacing of their children. Correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do I take it that without the RH law, women are being denied access to all relevant information about planning the number and spacing of their children?
Yes, Your Honor. Without the RH law, that is what happened. And I cited the example of the city of Manila,
But
Your
are
Honor.
our women denied access information outside their homes?
They are denied access in information
Outside their homes. Are they denied?
outside their homes?
Yes. They can go out and get the
No,
information.
they cannot, Your Honor.
They are not.
The
Okay.
poor do not have
They
access.
are not are our women prevented by force or intimidation from attending secular seminars?
Yes.
They
Yes,
are?
Your Honor. In the city of Manila, they are threatened that they cannot receive they will not be given, and they are humiliated by even having to ask. The women are actually outside the Supreme
Well, I thought
Court
we
and
respect
petitioning.
religious...
Precisely, Your Honor. It is.
So what's wrong with that? If their faith, they say that's bad
No,
for our faith, and
Perhaps
you will be committing sin. You have to confess, and then before you get. What's wrong with that?
No, there is nothing wrong, Your Honor, with a church espousing whatever
so you call
religious
that
views they have.
intimidation or coercion?
Your Honor, I call it intimidation if it is the one intimidating is the state, and it happens in certain LGUs, including the city of Manila, where women were not allowed and were embarrassed to even ask
Realistically,
for
you
the
think-
access to reproductive health. And in the own barangay where I live in, Ayala, Alabang, a very prestigious barangay, there was an attempt to have a barangay ordinance, which was of the same nature. And if not for the likes of Secretary Cabral, Lea Salonga, who literally were rallying in front of the gates every day and petitioning the barangay captain to unilaterally.
I don't know if that will be intimidation, because not so many people go to church, really, I must admit, in the number of Catholics are.
Justice Abad, just allow me. May I please ask you to please discipline the audience, especially in the back portion. I do not want any distraction to the justices listening to the arguments coming from the audience, please.
So, are our women prevented from listening to the radio?
Listening to the radio.
Yeah, listening
No,
to the
Your
radio.
Honor.
Are our women, or from seeing movies, no?
Of course not, Your Honor.
Or from watching television shows?
Of course not, Your Honor.
Or from receiving phone calls or text messages?
I
No,
believe
also
they
they're
are
not.
allowed,
Or
Your
from
Honor.
reading secular books, newspapers and magazines?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or from doing IGM? Do you know what IGM means?
Instagram.
I-Google mo. No?
I-Google
If you
mo.
need any kind of information, i-Google mo. So
Depende po kung may computer po
prevented
sila.
from IGM?
Because many poor women, and we are talking of 2.5 million women in the fifth poorest quintile, do not have access to IGM. They may have access to the radio, but we are not certain. In fact, without this law, there has not been a very strong, consistent program. I do not hear much about information on
be
reproductive
surprised,
health on the radio, Your Honor.
You will be surprised though how many our people are on internet. It's
No,
not
I do
really
know,
for the
Your
rich
Honor,
only.
but Your Honor, for women with 8 children, half of whom cannot eat in the morning, half of whom cannot eat at night, they do not have time to
Yes,
IGM.
they have radio, they have neighbors. What I mean to say
Not if you live
No,
in a
is that-
Cariton, Your Honor.
is that we are not so backward that this law can claim that it is what our women need to give them access to information relevant to reproductive health. If they want information, there are many places to get information. They are not prevented from doing
I disagree, Your Honor, with all due respect. His Honor was one of those of the justices who questioned, how will you disseminate this kind of information? You will not hear on the radio somebody asking you the questions to find out if you have a health risk and if you can use an oral contraceptive, or whether if you are smoking, or if you have pelvic bleeding or inflammation, that oral contraceptive is not best for you. You will not hear that on your radio, Your Honor. You need to speak to a health professional, and you need to weigh the kinds of contraceptives based on your lifestyle.
Who will not tell you incorrect information according to this law.
Well, Your Honor,
Not all the sides, or only one side. of
we
the law.
will assume that they will do their job, but definitely a better job than a radio commentator, Your Honor. And must hasten to add that not only is it access to information, but it is access to the products as well.
Well,
Because for the very poor, the government intends to make this available to them for free.
Well, I'm pointing out that even the poor, if we want to reach them out to them and teach them health reproduction, I don't think there should be any objection to that. I
Well,
don't think so.
I just
The
bring...
real objection here is really about the products and supplies that the government teach them and tell them under the law this is safe, under the law this is not abortifacient. When that is not so. No? When it is not really safe in the sense of, as we understand safe, safe is free from danger. But we all know that contraceptives, intrauterine as well as drugs or medicine, they are not safe.
In that case, all medicines will be declared not safe as well,
let me
Your
go to
Honor.
another point. But the most children in public schools are Catholics, correct?
Well, our population is mostly Catholic, so I will assume
most
that
of them
includes
in
the
public
children.
schools are Catholic. But the government claiming the right to teach what it wants in public school would have all children in these schools learn how to use contraceptives, among other
That
things,
is
correct?
incorrect, Your Honor. That is incorrect. There is nothing
They
in the
will
law.
not be taught this in
There is
school.
nothing in the law that says that children will be taught how to use contraceptives. The
No,
law
it says there,
It does
all
not,
the
Your Honor.
methods will be made available in the schools. They will be taught all the full range of
There is nothing.
methods.
I would be happy to see what part of the law His Honor read that, because that is not in the law, Your Honor. What is in the law is age-appropriate reproductive health education. And it may not be age-appropriate to talk to 5-year-old or 10-year-olds about the use of contraceptives. In fact, it is not age-appropriate.
Well, what will be age appropriate? if
Well,
that
I
is
would be
the case?
happy to explain, Your Honor. For example, I have been pregnant 4 times, and as my toddler would see my bulging stomach, I give her an age-appropriate lesson by saying that there is a baby growing in mommy's stomach, as opposed to what others who are not comfortable talking about reproductive health, they will say, may lobo, o nakakain ng pakwan, si nanay, o ang kapatid mo lalabas sa bungang kahoy. So age-appropriate reproductive health education will vary as the child
But
gets
this
older.
is sex education, is that?
We are talking about reproductive health, which is broader than sex education, Your Honor.
Yes, sex education. That's what I'm saying. So whatever the age is, it will be about sex education.
No, Your Honor, reproductive health
no.
is not equal to sex education. Those are entirely different things. So when
Well, reproductive health is about reproduction, and reproduction is about sex. I don't know what...
part of it is, Your Honor. This is a science, Your Honor, and they're very precise with the use of
that
their
will be an
terms.
incomplete education. Why will we still have sex education in schools if we will not teach sex? What's the use of this law?
Precisely, Your Honor, the law teaches
So
reproductive...
this is not about sex education.
It is about part of it is about
Oh, that's what
reproductive
I meant.
health
So-
education. No, Your Honor, I am not changing what I am saying.
Well, I know.
It is about
There are nice
reproductive
things
health
here that will
education,
be taught to
not
children.
sex education.
But I'm
His Honor
focusing-
is of the view, if I may, I believe His Honor is of the view that when we refer to reproductive health education, we're talking about the sexual act alone and the use of contraceptives. That is a very limiting view of reproductive
because the
health.
other things
That
are no
is
problem.
a component only.
The other things, the other aspects of this reproductive health, I don't think anybody really object to them. Like they should clean themselves. They should watch out for certain signs. These are good things. Nobody's against that. But what we are teaching here is sex education, how to avoid pregnancy. This is all what it's about.
And also, Your Honor...
How to space the number of children, how to fix the number of children you want to have, and to space them. And that's what's that about?
Your
That's
Honor-
about controlling birth. And I think you're trying to
That is one aspect, Your Honor.
cover the whole thing with a lot of good things. But we have nothing against the good things.
Well, Your-
what we are against the bad things.
Well, I don't know, because some people would consider it bad if you try to tell a child that her private parts, and I will use the proper terms, the vagina and the penis are private parts that neither your father should
No,
touch
those are
or
not
your...
bad
No, Your
parts.
Honor, allow me to continue, because this goes into sensitive topics that we do not like to discuss. And these are subject matters that we want to be made available so that our children can protect themselves. How can you say...
But
to
at
let
any
the
rate,
pa-
in these
if I may
public
just
schools...
finish my statement, Your
Yeah,
Honor.
I'm going to another point. In these public schools, the law would not even require parents who value the inculcation of their faith to their children to give prior written consent for them to attend the sex education in school. They're not required to have consent from parents.
That is not in the law, Your Honor. But
That's
that does not prevent.
Well, it's not in
but
the
that
law.
does not prevent
There's
the
no
department.
consent needed. Okay.
No, it does
The
not prevent the
government-
Department of Education
well,
of coming
so
up with a
it's not in the law.
memorandum
That's why nga-
to that effect, Your Honor.
Compulsory, it's not in the law because it's part of the curriculum. Nakalagay po dyan eh. The government can compel all public school students to learn sex education as it sees how it should be learned. Of course, with consultation with parents, teachers, etc. Except the parents themselves.
No,
It's not there.
Your Honor, the law is very clear with parent, teacher, community
Association.
association,
But not
school
with the
official,
parents of the
and
children.
well, then the parents can attend, Your Honor. And Your Honor, if I may go back,
You can
to
come and say, I'll meet you today, we will discuss about it first, and then teach the children together or something like that. But not there here. No? This one is purely government approved.
with the consent of the
Education.
community and the parents association. Your Honor, I will bring back the example of many children who are abused. How do you expect the mother who is out of the country and the father who abused his own child to be the one to give the consent? That is why the state must come in and protect these children.
Then you should,
That is why
you should
the
provide
state.
for something for that, for special circumstances like that.
But Your Honor,
Those are,
then that does not
anecdotal,
make then I've proven my point, Your Honor. It does not make the law unconstitutional.
But the law does not
Just because the law does not specify that one particular situation does not mean that the intention, which is
but,
clearly
we are
written in the law, is
protection for our
unconstitutional.
children. Ma? The law must state what these protections are. Because otherwise, as I said, the law can be abused. Now, would the law allow a physician who has a bias against artificial contraceptives on account of his religious beliefs to advise a patient who shares the same belief against the evil of such contraceptives?
Your Honor, to me that is a very simple question. Every literature for every medicine and contraceptive provides the side effects and the ill effects. So all the doctor has to say is, these are the possible consequences. If you are a smoker, if you are above the age of 35, or if you are a teenager, your risks are higher. And if you will if you drink alcohol, if you will be indulging in risky sexual behavior, then these are the consequences. All of that is clear. There is nothing wrong with a doctor discussing that with any patient, whether or not they share the same belief or not.
I'm glad you say that. Now, when the state teaches sex education, you see, but it's not sex an area where immorality can easily take hold, as in prostitution, women trafficking, pedophilia, not to mention promiscuity. Sex is an area where morals are involved. Don't you think so?
Morals are involved
Sex
in
has
many
nothing to do
aspects
with
of our
morality.
life. Morals are involved in many aspects of our life, sex and many other things.
Sex has no
No, I said
moral implication.
No, I said morality is
Yes, morality.
involved in many aspects of our life, not just in sex.
So, will you agree that? So, is your position that in sex education, morality is not involved?
It can be discussed, like when you discuss age-appropriate reproductive
Did not
health.
answer the question.
No, I am answering, Your Honor.
What's your answer?
Because reproductive health education always has to be age-appropriate. So when I talk about a baby growing in my stomach, there's really no sex involved there, and that is reproductive health education. When I tell a teenager that, please do not get involved in sexual activities with that boy who is courting you, because this may lead to pregnancy, this may lead to... I can say it in a scientific way, and in fact, and not in any way touch on moral issues. I can also say it in a way that will tell them that they will be condemned and go to hell.
You're not
So there are
answering my
many
question.
ways.
My question is not sex an area that has a moral concern?
It
That is
depends
a
on the
moral-
topic.
You agree?
It depends. I agree to a certain extent, not always. As I said, I can discuss sex and reproductive health
not
in a
always.
manner that has no moral function. Like when I explain how a baby grows.
So that is the position of the state here in this law.
What's Your
That
Honor?
sex is not a matter of moral concern. It parang relativity, ano? It depends, but it is not part.
It depends, Your Honor. If we're talking about your
That's
right
what
not
you
to
say,
be
ano?
sexually abused, that
It
is...
depends. I think that's a policy that... but you see, the Constitution says that the natural and primary right and duty of parents in the rearing of the youth for civic efficiency in the development of moral character shall receive the support of the government. So parents have, under the Constitution, the natural and primary right and duty to educate their children for the development of moral character. Can the government compete with parents in the molding of the character of their children?
Is it a competition, Your Honor?
Can the government compete with parents in the molding of the moral character of their children under this provision of the Constitution?
I am not aware, Your Honor, that the government is in competition with the family. Consistent with the Constitution, the intention of this law is to support...
Well, the government excludes the parents from the seminars where their young children, 5 years and older, are going to attend. You're out of this. This is what the law says.
No, Your Honor, the law includes
Yes, that's what the law
parental.
says. You admitted that earlier.
Every parent may attend. There's nothing that prevents a parent
Now,
from attending.
Should not the government respect the primacy of the right? It is more in keeping with this right of parents for the government to secure consent in the matter of sex education of their children in public schools. Should not they get at least consent of the parents in the matter of this?
Congress has decided that that is not required, Your Honor.
You assail petitioners for advocating only natural methods and not the modern methods. But as I said,
No, we assail petitioner
but I said,
for demanding that the state only promotes natural family planning. They can promote whatever they want, but they
Not on
cannot
religious-
demand
for
that
me,
the state
not on
promotes
religious grounds,
only
but on-
natural family planning.
well,
That is
not
what
all
we
Catholics,
assail,
I'm a
Your Honor.
Catholic, but it's not on that ground that I find some difficulties, although I've not yet made up my mind. But it's not on that ground that I find some difficulties. It's in the heart of the law that makes hormonal contraceptives and intrauterine devices declare as safe and non-abortive patient, and to be included in the essential drugs list by passing the FDA. I know they're saying it's subject to FDA because ordinarily medicines cannot be given to the public or put in that list unless it is approved by the FDA. But this law, it says, I command you to put these contraceptives, hormonal contraceptives and intrauterine devices in the essential drugs. So it orders a bypassing of the FDA. Anong iniwan niyang function sa FDA? The FDA, sabi niya ron, the same section 9, will issue a certification that none of those who use these medicines will use it as abortive patient. That's the role that the section 9 reserved to the FDA. And also, yung preparation of the guidelines for safe use, but not for non-use. Only for possible use in the face of side effects and harmful effects. That's the rule. I read the whole law. I did not find there any provision that says that in this new one, because let's face it, contraceptives is not medicine. It is not, unless, well, there are some of them that will be intended as medicine. Medicine is to cure illness. This is a new thing that will be put in this official drugs list. You see? And it is not medicine because it is not intended for cure. The benefit that will be obtained there is not being healed of heart attack or any difficulties or serious problem, but to be able to have sex without responsibility. That is the exchange. You cannot treat this like medicine where we can ignore the side effects because we will save human life. No, this one, no. You will ignore the side effects so you can have sex without having to answer for it.
Your Honor, I would be happy to respond.
That's what it says. That's what it is about.
With all due respect, Your Honor, your understanding of the law is incorrect. Section 9 very clearly includes other safe, legal, and non-abortive fashion devices. So, Your Honor, this modifies the enumeration of hormonal contraceptive, intrauterine devices, and injectables. As I explained, Your Honor, these products have been available in the National Drug Formulary even before the reproductive health law was discussed. So we simply institutionalized the practice. I would like to explain to this court so they understand the nature of this provision. The intention was to prevent the National Drug Formulary from taking away contraceptives as part of the essential drug list.
Well, that's different from the answer of Congressman.
It is the same. Actually, I may not just be explaining it as well as him.
different.
No, we have
Also,
the same
OSG has a
explanation, Your
different
Honor,
answer.
that it was our intention to ensure that these products, as a type of products which have already been recognized by WHO and FDA as safe, continue to be in the National Drug Formulary. But it does not in any way take away the duty of FDA to rule on the safety, efficacy, or abortifacient
Of the new ones.
nature of... No, not
Of
new
new
ones,
ones.
Your Honor. Your Honor, there may be a misunderstanding on the use of the general term of intrauterine device, hormonal contraceptives, or IUDs. There are many kinds. So what we are saying in this law is these types of contraceptives have been passed upon by the WHO and FDA and are part of the WHO essential list and have been part of the FDA essential list. And we want it to stay there subject to FDI's determination per brand, per batch if necessary, that it is safe. We cannot take that away from FDA. We never intended to arrogate these powers. These belong to FDA's alone, not ours and not this court's.
Section 9 does not refer to types, or Section 9 says here, refers to products and supplies.
Your Honor,
It's
these are
really
general terms. That's what I'm trying to say.
Outside the realm of idea, but in the realm of commercial products and supplies, that is being, legislated as into the National Drugs Formulary or the Essential Drugs List. It bypasses.
It does not,
bypasses the
with all
FDA.
due respect, Your Honor, it does not. And both the members of the lower house and the upper house tell this honorable
That's
court
what confuses
that
me,
that
because
is not,
you have a different version, Congressman Lagman. From my point of view, as I look at it,
then
and Solicitor General,
I apologize for not
we are
explaining
not
it as
bound
well
by
as Congressman Lagman, but we do have the same point
we
of
cannot
view,
have
that we are
different
not
views as
trying
to
to
what it is.
bypass the FDA.
We should understand it as what the law, the language of the law says.
And we do understand it. We do understand it, and we are trying to impart to this court the clear intention, and to our mind, what is written very clearly in the law. Include hormonal contraceptives, intrauterine devices, injectables, and other safe, legal, non-abortive fashion, and effective family planning products. In other words, if the hormonal contraceptive was not safe, if it was not legal, if it was abortive fashion, then it should not be included. So it was very simple to us, Your Honor, when this was being discussed, that was the clear
Thank
objective
you,
of the
Madam
law.
Chief Justice.